Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aum Publishing.
Cyrus King.
And today I'm just going to go ahead and just talk about this new publishing or this little venture that we got going on through Aum Publishing. What exactly is that?
Basically, it's just a different way of approaching science fiction. And if you want to say the arts in general, it's a way of incorporating a lot of metaphysical principles in sci-fi, but also a lot of even more, I would say, scientific points of view in regular sci-fi, where a lot of times with regular sci-fi, it's just more like you just do it randomly and it kind of could go into fantasy. Mm-hmm. Where in Aum, we like to look at it as we're exploring possibilities, which could be fantasy as well, but it's where something like where in the original days, science fiction would inspire the scientists. These days, science fiction doesn't really inspire the scientists as much as they used to.
So more like, obviously people know CyrusKing.com, my channel, your channel. We deal a lot with metaphysics, occultism, spirituality, things of that nature. Is it safe to say that a lot of these books are based on science fiction as in something that could be probable in the future? Yes. However, based on a lot of metaphysic concepts that is, like science fiction will say, this is not true. However, it's a probability that could happen potentially in the future. So you guys are saying, potentially this is not really like true, or maybe it is, but it's a potential perception that could probability in the future.
Yeah, like I like to look at it as science, like, when you look at the imagination of Venus, we like to look at it as Neptune,
right?
Where Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So in a sense, what happens is with regular Venus arts, you're more trying to go into fantasies, but you're trying to do it to escape reality. Because we're incorporating science and metaphysics, it's almost in a way where you're using your imagination to recreate your own reality. So it's like saying possibilities, where you're recreating how you see the world. Whereas in science fiction, you're normally trying to escape the world. So it's a big difference. Where one is inspiring you to look at your life and recreate your world, whereas one is teaching you escapism, in a sense.
So for example, storylines. What are some storylines that? Because obviously we have there's a network of writers. Me currently right now, I'm just kind of like taking a break on things, but I know there's like you, and then there's other writers.
Yeah. I mean, like Hari Halim, Gary Edwards, where we also teach metaphysics and stuff like that, but which
is also associated with the Omni-Nights.
Yeah, with the Omni-Night Network. But in this venture, it's coming to an approach of sci-fi and just incorporating those metaphysics and science into the science fiction. So it's almost like sci-fi in a sense, but like good example. In regular science fiction, right, you would have, let's say, superheroes. Like superhero movies are really popular right now. And superhero movies, it will basically be like the superhero just comes out and just has powers.
The comic books, right?
Yeah, like you say, they just come out and have powers. Mm-hmm. In our way of looking at it, even if we do have superheroes, it would be more probable reasons why the person would have it. So let's say someone they mastered yoga for 10, 15 years and all of a sudden their power manifested. Or they took a certain type of drug and their power manifested. But it's basically blood modification, which is a metaphysical principle that a lot of physicists have spoken about. Where,
right.
You change the blood up and it can unlock certain parts of your DNA.
And DNA, right?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different than just waking up one day and saying you have a superpower. So they're related to each other, but it's going to be a little bit different take.
So is it safe to say this is more like action and drama as opposed to like comedy or like?
No, I mean it's
romance.
Well, I mean romance. I mean we're not going to really cover romance, but I mean it's a lot of different types of books. Sometimes some of it could be like more comic books, some of it could be more spies. Like my stuff is really more. At least my early stuff is going to be more kind of espionage type of stuff. It's going to cross into the hero stuff eventually, but early on it's gonna be more espionage.
So right now you're currently writing a book.
Yeah, Crown Lock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, should be out in a month. It's really dealing more with espionage, and it's going into a probability of, let's say, like how we spoke about Messiah seeds. It's going into a government probability how what would happen if business interests, religious institutes found out that
in capitalism.
Yeah, in general.
Society.
Yeah, the powers that be found out that if a person was able to study certain things for a long period of time, being able to change their blood and brain chemistry, what would happen? It's kind of like the movie Lucy, but in the movie Lucy, she just took a drug and she had powers, where this one it's almost on the same principle, but the person would have to structurally...
It's more probable.
Yeah, more probable.
As opposed to like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like how would they react to that, and in the book, obviously, they try to shut it down.
Right.
So it's going to go into that and stuff like that.
And then and it kind of seems like it's a probability that people could think of, like, what if that is true within us?
Yes.
So it's fiction, but then can potentially be nonfiction.
Exactly.
So the question's up to the reader.
Exactly. It's not going to just be random stuff where it's just like Howard the Duck or something like that.
Or like a hippopotamus flying over a ocean.
Probably not. Probably
That's
not.
fantasy.
Probably, exactly. Like our thing is what we're trying, but we're actually trying to take, because like I have a new Aum channel for YouTube. It's basically where all that stuff, like, because when you basically say Neptune versus Venus, Neptune is Venus. But it's just, like, what would happen when you merge mercurial energy and, let's say, you know, for the most part, mercurial energy, Venetian energy, even maybe some of that Martian energy together. So, in a sense, even traditional sci-fi, we would still have an opinion on it.
Right.
So, like, let's say in my Aum channel for YouTube, I would still have an opinion. Like, let's say, what's my opinion on Star Wars? But I'll come in on it from a Neptune angle, from an Aum angle. Well, we say Aum, but it's like really more like Mercury and Venus together. So it's almost like.
And what do people say? What exactly is Aum?
Well, it's just basically, in a sense, it's a play on words, because it could be the Hindu mantra, right? But it's play on words from how we're using it. It's actually going into the Hebrew of Alf, and then Va, you could substitute with a U, and then Mem. And Mem would be Neptune, Alf would be Uranus, and then Va, in a sense, is the constellation that brings them both together. It's kind of like your spinal column.
Right.
So what happens basically is Uranus is the potential. It's like the superconsciousness, the future. And then Neptune is the energy that brings everything together, like brings all boundaries together. Because one thing we try to do in our sci-fi is that most science fiction, when you see it now, you can tell, like, if somebody's in France and they write it, it's going to come from a French angle. If somebody's in, you know, we're going to try to do from a more multicultural angle,
Right,
in a
right.
sense. So it's going to, you know, sometimes it's going to be, even the Pacific Islands, like Vanuatu, I have a major character from that. It's going to be more, like, a Neptune is inclusive of all cultures.
Vanuatu's like Fiji. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, so it's you know, it's gonna be more inclusive, where even in science, even in comic books now, you know, at least in the past, because a lot of comic
Right.
movies now from the past, they may be all Caucasians, where our stuff now is gonna be more multicultural, from all races gonna be represented.
Right. It's kind of more like a Star Trek.
In a sense, yeah.
But in Star Trek, Star Wars, I mean, but Star Wars, they didn't really have, the main characters were all Caucasians.
Yeah, which is cool, but I mean, that was for that time. But when you deal with Neptune, it's more inclusive of many different races.
Right. Inclusive.
Yeah, so
Not bad.
So-
So we have some short stories out too, because there's obviously short stories too.
definitely, it's definitely, and then you could go to the link down there, and a link on that you see in the description, and you will see some of the short stories that we have, about 3 or 4 of them.
Right. So pay attention, look out.
Definitely. So
Until next time, peace.